What is going on, guys? It's Mr. Banks here coming at you live with another trade recap on my Tesla trade taken today for $3,600. Now, before we get started, go ahead and click that subscribe button right here on the YouTube so you don't miss any of these fantastic videos that we put out daily to make you a better trader. Now, of course, I like to break things down very simple. My strategy is always very simple because I want to make sure that even a child can learn and understand how to take trades and become a profitable trader in this market. Now, let's go ahead and go with Tesla's the trade that I took today. I had 288, 290 for calls. So let's go ahead and take a look why I got that level. Now, as again, my trade plans are always a little biased as to where I think the first initial move can be taken. But of course, please use them as pivot point levels so that you can either take calls or puts if it breaks on either side. Again, you can use these levels as pivot point levels. So even with my bias, you can always take the opposite if it does go the opposite way. So please don't only look at it as a one trading system. Every single level gives you two different trades to make. Now, the 288, 290 level, if you want to take a look, I saw this gap. Again, sometimes I don't trust these fully, but we could see that 290 would have been is the completion of the gap. And we see that the 288 level is going to be where we had heavy resistance the day prior before. Now, again, we know stocks only do these three things. They bounce, break, and reject. They will bounce off of support. They will reject off of resistance, and they will break through either one of those. So that is how I found those levels today. But again, they did not hit. They hit a little bit above. It's hit at 291. So we were a little close, but not on the money. Now I'm going to go ahead and show the trade I made today and the call out I made for the Wolves of Wealth community. Let me get this situated real quick for you guys. Now, again, I do post my call outs in the Wolves of Wealth community as well as my trade plans. So let's go ahead and take a look at my call out today. Now I went ahead and I took Tesla 295.83 calls for 158, hitting 40% within 3 minutes. Now I did play the breakout on this one, leaving some runners ending the day at 90%. This did of course go over 100%, but I'm going to be happy with a $3,600 win and a 90% play trade, which you should be happy too if you have made the same. So how did I take this trade? Well, as we know, stocks like to bounce on support. So I'm using the 1 minute. I do take my trades on the 5 minute, but because the 5 minute candles don't really show what was forming, what I was seeing after the fact today, the 1 minute shows you guys very clearly, minute by minute, what I was seeing, and should make it very easy for you to understand why I took this trade and made this call. So as we saw earlier today, Tesla broke above the pre-market high. Now we know this is a part of my strategy. Pre-market high levels are a great way to take a trade if they are broken or rejected. Now we saw we had a nice little dip at open to a nice little run up. Did not take a trade. I wanted to wait and confirm this breakout. So as we see, we had the breakout and we saw it based and showed support on top of the pre-market high. Now, again, stocks will do one of three things. This is the bounce portion as it found support and is bouncing off of that support, as we can see here. Now, I did make this call at 750. So if you want to take a look, what I was seeing was once we found the support of the pre-market high, as we can see, I knew that it was bullish, right? Because we weren't breaking down from what was once resistance. So as you can see, guys, the pre-market high was a resistance that we should have been watching. Once we saw that it broke and came back down and retested is when you could have loaded calls, but I made sure that we were going to find that support before I took my trade. So again, we saw a break of the resistance of the pre-market high, which was a heavy resistance. Once we came down and retested, we saw that it was finding support on this, and we knew this is a bullish sign and we should get a bounce, which we did. Now, again, when I do take these trades, I am looking at the overall market strengths of SPY, ES, SPX, XLE, the banks, Microsoft, Apple, what everyone else is doing, just so I can have my conviction that, yes, this Tesla trade is a strong bullish trade. When the market is in a bullish trend and direction, it is very easy to take these trades with conviction. So again, we had a break of the resistance, and then we found the retest and the support for a bounce off of that once resistance turn now to support. So again, guys, once stocks break a resistance, we will try to see if there is a retest, and if the retest holds, then we know that that resistance becomes support. And likewise, if support fails, we'll look for a retest to see if that support has now become a resistance. So just the opposite. So again, we saw this bounce forming a support off of the pre-market high, which was once resistance, now support. And then we took the trade at 750. So what I was looking at was, once I saw that we found that support and we were breaking over the high of the day, this gave me even more signs that the stock was very bullish, and I was playing the breakout of this, of the intraday high, which was at the time obviously created a higher high throughout the day, but at that time that was the high of the day, and I was playing the breakout of this high. So once I saw the breakout in the flag, I knew to take calls. These went instantly after the breakout up 40%, where I took most of my profits, leaving a runner or two, and finally leaving one runner until we were at 90%, taking full profits in here. And as you can see, 846. Go ahead and find that time at 846. We saw this was the new high. We had a nice little dip, but I wanted to go ahead and make sure I just took that profit on that runner so that we could, the market was starting to get a little drippy. So just in case we did get a nice flush, I wanted to make sure that this profit was taken on it. And at 90% on the runner, I considered that a good trade, officially ending the day at $3,600 on Tesla. So now this is how I took that trade. I'll go over that one more time. We broke resistance of the pre-market high. We turned this into support. And then after that, I wanted to see the break. I played the break of the intraday high at the time for a nice 40% run in 3 minutes today, leaving a runner and taking the profit at 90% here when the market started to get a little drippy. Now, I want to talk and explain runners a little bit for you guys to add a little bit more education onto this trade plan and recap. Guys, when we look for runners, we want to make sure, how I do it is I love to take a big portion of my gains within 20%, obviously 30, 40%. I am mostly out, leaving a runner or two. Guys, when we have, this is how you build accounts. This is how you make bigger profits. Now, a lot of people want to try to leave in their whole core position for the entire move, and that is great. Of course, some people do hit home runs like this, but as you see, it does lead to a lot of losses. And if you have a big core position that you're trying to hold for a major home run, if that reverses on you, that's going to give you a very big, loss to incur. So what I'd like for everyone to do is that when you hit, your profit target, I think 10% was always a good initial move, especially for a morning intraday trade to take a lot of profits. I try to go for 20%. And then, of course, above 20%, anything after that, taking profits on the core position should yield you a nice big profit. Now, once we leave runners, what I like to do is set a stop loss underneath my entry point. Why? Because I have already taken a big core position out of my trade. I have already made a big, decent amount of profits. So with one runner entering below the stop loss of your entry, if it does go, completely reverse on you and go down to that level and hit that stop loss for a loss, it's not really going to affect your main profits, right? Because this is only one runner um, that you're holding on to. So that loss that you incur is going to be very, very small. But as we like to know, market makers know exactly where stop losses are. I know that's a weird thing, but they do. Shouldn't be allowed, in my opinion. But hey, we're going to have to play their game. So what I like to do is set the stop loss underneath my entry. You could do 10%, 20%, whatever you feel comfortable with. And guys, again, this is only for that runner that you're leaving. What this helps to do is for the volatility, as we know, the big swings, you know, when we take an entry, a lot of times they'll come down and go hit that entry again. And now your stop loss is hit and now you're done out of the day. Or you set a stop loss for your runner above your entry so that the entire trade is profits. But again, that also, usually tends to get hit and then you miss the bigger move. So setting a stop loss underneath your initial entry for the runner as a technical loss, if it does get hit, is going to really help you hold on to that runner for the way bigger move. And in doing so, most of the times this stop loss doesn't get hit, and that way you can catch the full move with the runner. Now, I do want to point out you could have taken calls again, as we can see. As I explained earlier, when stocks break out of that resistance can now become the support. So once we broke out of this intraday high, we can see that when it came down, guess what? That resistance now became support. So once you see stocks doing this, breaking out of resistance and finding support above that resistance, that is a very bullish sign. And if you're looking at the market as a whole and seeing everything else be very bullish and a bullish trend for the day, this is even more conviction to make this trade. Now, I did have the runner all the way up here, and this is why I held the runner at this part, because we did have that support found off of the break of this initial intraday resistance. So we could see we have that breakout and we found the support above this first intraday high. So now again, stocks only do three things: they bounce, break, and reject. And in this case, it broke and bounced, right? So we broke resistance, and then we came up, we found support, and it bounced off of the support that it found, which was once resistance. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe. I'll be sure to put more of these videos out, helping you guys understand the market so that you can become the consistent, profitable trader I know you all to be. Now, enjoy your weekend. Don't do anything stupid, and I will see you bright and early Monday morning. Mr. Banks is out.